Microphone check, 1, 2, what is this? It's the 5'7" assassin in the podcast business. I am your host, Rohan Patra, the rap music plug at your service.
Here we are again at the end of a rainbow.
Within about 10 seconds of hearing Fly Anakin for the first time, I knew this guy was born to rap. Immediately, his raspy voice caught my attention, sounding like he had a damn built-in plugin within his vocal cords, making his dazzling bars sound so special. In this episode, Richmond-born Frank, otherwise known as rapper and producer Fly Anakin, joins the show to discuss how he found his unique voice, the vision for the almighty Mutant Academy that he had in mind when he first co-founded it, his recent achievements in FlySiifu and Frank, and the impressive world building that went into creating his cheeky, romantic, and effortlessly fun new album, Skinemaxxx. The Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV is the remedy to the I don't have anything good to listen to problem. Through in-depth artist interviews, album reviews, and general rap commentary on the best that the underground rap scene has to offer, this is your one-stop shop to knowing what to add to your queue, play next, or pop into your record player. Welcome to the show. Fly Anakin, how you doing today?
Well, dog, how are you?
I'm great. I am great. Yeah, I'm very happy to have you on. Like, I feel you occupy a pretty interesting lane in the current rap scene, unlike many other kind of like quote unquote, I hate the word, but quote unquote underground rappers. Like, I feel like you have a really cool balance of this kind of like smooth, fun coolness, but you still mix that in with a lot of like substantial, soulful, thoughtful content. It's all just quite charming. It's like almost surreal sometimes. In like this, like it's like shrouded in this surrealist haze, and you pull for such an eclectic set of influences and styles. It just makes it feel like your music is very hard to kind of categorize, which I find really cool. But how would you describe the type of hip hop that you like to make?
It's like, I don't know, it's probably like a form of jazz, probably. It's like some kind of like free, whatever the fuck, jazz.
Freeform?
Yeah, free form shit. Like I wouldn't know what to call that shit for real, dog. But I know I'm like a happy medium between what it was and what it is.
I like that. I like that, and I think it's also in the way you write. It's very immersive, and it like it's not rigid, which I think is really cool. Like it has sometimes like these vignettes and stories. You got punchlines. It's really hard to pin down, and I think you're just so good at kind of weaving in and out of different kind of like thoughts, stories, imagery, and yeah, it is kind of like jazz, like in that way, like it's very like fluid. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like yeah. That's how I would explain it, you know. It's like it's just pretty jazzy.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty upbeat jazzy shit. I've been trying to make more like mindless music, but I don't know. I'm in an interesting place musically.
You've been trying to make more mindless music? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
What do you mean by mindless?
like music about nothing.
You've been actually trying to do that? Why is that?
Cause I enjoy that shit so much. Like I listen to music about nothing all the time. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. It just feels like that's what I don't know. It's hard to even explain that part because if I really got down to the root of it, it's like I feel like I've taken things a little too seriously, like too serious for too long. And I'm like, all right, I just want to have fun. So songs like Taxi Cab Confessions and shit, it's like I just want to just talk about nothing sometimes, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Like just loosen the fuck up. Because I've done a lot of shows since I've started making music. Like I've probably done more shows in the last 2 years than I've done in a while. It's like shit that can be like actually accounted for. And people enjoy the little moment to just vibe out and just yell obscene words across the room. It's like I don't know. I'm just like trying to make my performance experience a little more enjoyable for myself, essentially.
I mean, it sounded like you were having a really good time when I saw you in Brooklyn just this
Yeah,
past summer. Yeah.
that was probably the well not all right. So between Brooklyn and Oakland, probably the best shows on that tour. But Brooklyn was like the first good show, like on
Okay.
like that run. So that was like I don't know, I feel like I went Super Saiyan on that one. That was a good show. But I'm definitely leaning towards like where I like what I want to be fully. You know what I mean? But like ultimately, yeah, it's just like another bag that I gotta figure out. Like
Mm.
I've learned how to make the serious shit. Like I could tell stories and I can like make my fucking traumatic moments sound like fucking beautiful songs. So yeah, now I want to make my nothingness. I want to give my nothingness a soundtrack. It's like, cause I just be kicking it, bro. I just be at the
Mm.
crib playing the game a lot of the times. So if I was to even like sit and try to like get deep, I would have to think about something that hurt me. I'm not upset about nothing right now. I'm chilling.
I find like also in the current scene right now, and I've obviously loved music that is like quote unquote trying to say something and right about certain traumatic experience, all that stuff. But I do feel, especially in like the listeners, people are a little too get a little too weird. It's almost kind of weird to me, honest, sometimes when people really want rappers to open up about things that are really hard, where it's like I understand like why you may like the music, but it's to like actually want that out of someone is a bit weird. Like,
Yeah, and I feel like my fan base, like no offense, but y'all motherfuckers want that low key. Because whenever
mm,
it happens, motherfuckers be like, "This is the best song," and I'm be like, "Wow." It's like I know how it feels though, because like it's like the song "Things Change." Like when I felt what I felt when I was writing that shit, I felt at my lowest. But when I recorded it, I'm like, "This is a good song." It gave me goosebumps and shit. So
oh
I'm like, I
yeah.
know this is fire. But I'm like, whenever I have like those moments, I'm like, damn, I gotta listen to that song when I don't feel depressed. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always gonna bring me back to that fucked up ass moment. It's like, so
Yeah.
it's cool, you know what I mean? Like it's a little capsule and shit. And ultimately it's like most music, I don't know, like at least from my side, it's like we really be going through shit. So if it come out that way, then that's really what it was. So I don't know. Like I said, it's like I'm not nowhere near as depressed as I was when I was making my other music. Like I was in a dark ass place a long time ago. Now it's way brighter. So
That's good.
I have to like make something that reflects the brightness. You know what I mean? So it don't have to like be mindless, like I said, but like just less serious.
Yeah, it's just lighter. Yeah.
It literally is lighter and brighter. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like I don't know how to make bright music in this current moment of myself. It's like everything I do is it comes out dark. Like even
Mm-hmm.
the beats, you know what I mean? It's like it could have a bright undertone to it, but it's usually some dark shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. And one of the key things that make your music really cool and really unique is that voice you have. It's just truly like has this kind of like undeniable character that makes me think like you were born to rap. Like there's very few voices like that. I'm thinking of, and especially seeing you live, that made it like abundantly clear because I could see there's no effects on your shit. Like that's your voice. Reminds me of Wiki, another amazing rapper I've seen live, had him on the show, and also just every time I speak to him, like, yeah, you just rap. Just your voice is you're doing exactly what you were put on this earth for. And I have a question from a patron of the show, Noah or Nogod, as his artist name. He had a question related to this topic where he was wondering how or when did you find your voice as a rapper, and how do you go about like building in these cadences and vocal inflections around it?
I found my voice using bad studio equipment. Like I had to like a lot of my old shit I had to scream just to make sure that the shit even like you know what I mean? Like just to make sure it was even heard. But like I don't know, it's like I have moments where I'm like I either go really high or go really low. But like lately I've been like in the middle where I've been trying to like just get comfortable with my calm voice, like basically. Like I remember talking to my friend Tyron and he was telling me like it feels like a more mature version of what I used to be, basically. And I kind of like can second that, you know what I mean? Because I don't know, I feel like I had a point to prove at that time, but now I'm like, all right, I am who I am, and I'm not fucking going nowhere, and it's permanent. So now I can calmly do what I got to do, you know what I mean? But at that time, that was my voice. At this time, I think this is my voice. But a lot of times that shit can switch up. I don't know what my voice is no more. It's literally all types of them shits. Like I've been singing more and shit. Like that's a new voice. It's like
Yeah.
I have to exercise that voice. It's like I still haven't found my voice to be honest with you. It's like that shit is a never ending journey for me. It's like and I used to hate my voice. It's like I just got to a place where I thought it was cool. It's like I sit in studio sessions and engineers will fucking have conversations about my voice for a whole hour long, and I just be like, wow, I can't believe that shit is like that, like interesting to people. And, like it's just music to me, you know.
Hmm.
But I don't know. It's a part of it. It's a part of it. But like I said, my real answer to that, I don't think I found my voice yet. I'm still searching.
Wow. I mean, well, this kind of reminds me of another great artist, Rock Marcy, because when you listen to his early shit, like his voice, like was so distinctively different in terms of how he rapped. It's like you could tell me it's a different rapper, and I believe it. Like when he's on Mars, like pre Marsburg, especially, but even Marsburg compared to like what he does now, like you can just tell he's choosing to just rap with like more like I don't know flair. Like he lets the notes ride. He's having sounding like he's having a lot more fun, to be honest. And I mean, he's living a better life standard of living, I'm sure. So I don't blame
What?
him. So yeah, I definitely see that kind of like over time, just based on your lifestyle, based on like what you want to do, like that'll change. And it's interesting though that you say you haven't found it because I feel like I caught that immediately with you.
The voice thing, all like a lot of the shit with my music came naturally, like flow wise, like the voice thing, like I kind of just knew to rap with a certain like with a certain part of my chest, so I would be able to breathe. Because if I was to just rap with my regular voice, I'm gonna run out of like breath faster. So I don't know, like all that shit, none of it was taught, bro. It's like I just started doing stuff, and then I learned that my method was a good technique. You know, for
Yeah.
the longest, I just thought I was just winging it. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. It's natural. Like people say, it's just something that just happens, and you just kind of be meant for that shit. But I never practiced being a rapper or no shit like that. Just start doing that shit. Wrote a couple songs. Was like, all right, I like doing this, so I kept doing it.
Yeah, it seems very natural for you. And having spoken to a few other artists on the show that are from Virginia, Virginia natives like Doof, McKinley Dixon, the music scene over there seems pretty unique, like quite unlike a lot of other scenes in the States. How did that area generally influence like your musical upbringing and how you developed your taste for music and then like your love for hip hop?
I don't think Virginia really like influenced my like my sound or even the way I approach things until like maybe 2014, like SoundCloud, like when SoundCloud was like top of the fucking, you know what I mean? Like SoundCloud was the shit. But like
Yeah.
at that time, Doof was one of those people that had a like a voice on SoundCloud, and I was just watching from afar, and then I seen this motherfucker like he was working at a skate shop like beside a Chipotle. And we was going to the Chipotle and we heard Stanley Ipkiss playing. And I was like, wait, I know that voice. Like, who the fuck playing Stanley Ipkiss? I walked in there and Doof was in that bitch like at the register just like working and shit. So like we chopped it up. I got a verse from him. And like from there on, like I kind of just like worked with everybody that I thought was like cool, like in that like little like I wouldn't even call it a scene. It was really like a community. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like basically, I think from that point on, we started finding motherfuckers and find like people started finding us that were from Virginia, and then we realized like, cause the only person before then that really inspired me to do something was really like Nicholas Neff. And like
Mm.
I wasn't aware of Obliv until like 2013, 2014. So once I learned all that shit, that's when I was like, yo, Virginia is crazy. Like not even Virginia really, like Richmond. It's
Richmond,
like
yeah.
the Richmond music history is like it got like more depth to it like around that time. You know what I mean? And I feel like it was a lot of people working. Like I'm not gonna discredit nobody, but when we came around, I feel like we changed the environment a lot because we shine light on things that motherfuckers was ignoring. And when we had a voice, it kind of just changed the dynamic. Because, you know, it's like when you young and you seeing shit for what it is, like you don't really have like I wouldn't say like an ego, but like you're not really moving with like as much on your chest. Like you on the internet hearing shit for the first time, you can be a fan of it. It could take you somewhere. A lot of motherfuckers in Richmond wasn't using the internet for real, for real. And if they was using the internet, it wasn't for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when we started implementing the internet and our shit and really, you know what I mean, connecting dots outside of the city and bringing shit home, I feel like shit started to make a little more sense.
Yeah, and when did the shift happen for you when you started making music and like get creating your style? When did it come to the point where you realized like, damn, I can really make a career out of this music thing from just being like a hobby that you did for fun?
Probably like just traveling off of this shit, like seeing different states. I remember like probably 2016 is when we really first started like going out of town for shows and shit. Like I think we went to like New York, fucking like one of the Carolinas, fucking like DC, some shit like that. Like we just went like a lot of places, like just on the East Coast. And I come from a line of motherfuckers that really don't travel that much. Like all I
Mm,
seen was Richmond for the first like 20 something years of my life. It's like, I don't know, that part alone was like, all right, cool. It's like I want to do this just off the sheer fact that I could get the fuck out the house and like actually see something off of this shit. It's like that was a big benefit, you know what I mean? Like you need scenery change sometimes. And if you can make money while doing that shit and you can like touch people, you know what I mean? It's just like I don't know, it's a gift that I can't stop giving. But ultimately, you get to a point where you get tired of traveling, and then you be like, damn, I hate getting on planes, but I'm
mm.
also still very grateful for that shit because I get to do it. You know, it's like I definitely signed up for this shit, so I'm not mad at what I do, but it gets stressful.
Was there like a particular song or kind of maybe just a project where it really you saw like a different response from listeners where you're like, oh shit, people really like this one?
Yes, this EP called The Grand Scheme of Things. It's
Okay.
like that was probably the first time where I was like, no, I wouldn't even say that's the first time. It's probably the second time I felt that way, but on some solo shit that was like, all right, bet. Like people give a fuck. And that whole time I was like super self-conscious about that project. Like just thinking it wasn't what it needed to be. But then I put it out and people fucking thought it was the best thing in the world. That's literally how my lived. Like that was his first thing he heard from me. And
Mm.
he went from wherever. So I think that was a good moment for Fly Anakin basically. It's like it was a small thing, but that shit left a real dent on shit,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. And so like when I saw you perform with Morpheus and Logi in Brooklyn earlier this summer, it was really clear to me how much the whole Mutant Academy collective meant to you. You shouted that shit out constantly throughout the show. It was fun. You had also had the homies like Iwan and Kahuna along, even though they weren't technically like on the bill. And just man, like the degree of creativity that's come out of that camp and the kind of family atmosphere I feel like you guys always exude is just really cool to me. So I know I think a lot of people by now we kind of talked about it off the recording that a lot of people are aware of how this like kind of started in terms of like who were the founders and all that, you being one of them. But what would you say was like the vision or like the goal of Mutant Academy when you first founded it? And do you believe you've actually achieved it already?
I think the vision for the Mutant Academy originally was to just be the hardest duo in Richmond. Uh, I think the goal got way bigger than that once we like extended the amount of people that was in the group. But like I would say, the vision was to fucking just try to fucking just get out of where we was at and be who we thought we was, like fully, and like actualize that shit and just fucking create something. You know what I mean? Because it didn't seem doable from where we was at, and there's a whole lot of people that just counted us out for a long ass time. So I don't know. I watched motherfuckers I went to school with like not supporting my shit for years, like just for motherfuckers that's complete strangers to like treat me like I'm a unicorn
Mm,
and be able to go out of the country and shit like that. It's like I was so upset about like local attention. You know what I mean? Like once I stopped like worrying about that shit, and we really like took Mutant Academy somewhere and realized that we had love everywhere else but the crib for real, that's when it clicks. Like wherever the vision was, it don't even fucking matter. Just fucking stand on Mutant Academy business. Keep making music the way we make music because we never had to force that style. Like that's literally just us. It's like we can make that shit all day long. So I don't know. And I think we definitely like are right near where we want to be. Like, if this is where we want to be, we like right there.
Mm.
Because for a long time we was just around here. You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't as organized as it needed to be. But like we have like meetings weekly now. You know what I mean? Like we talk all the time, like as a group. So it's completely different, and we got a lot of shit that's about to happen. Like it's gonna be like a resurgence of Mutant Academy, and all the shit that I've been doing as a solo artist was done to provide. You know what I mean? I told niggas I wouldn't make another Mutant Academy album until I could bring a table to the table. I
Yeah.
said that's 2014. So that's
Wow.
the last time we made one. It was 2013. It was just me and Henny at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I said I didn't want to make another one until it was right for real, for real. I wanted that shit to have what it deserved. I want some money behind it.
Yeah, I feel like what makes you guys really cool too is that you really bring each other along for the ride, but you totally like tap you don't just stay contained and confined to your kind of crew. You guys collaborate with many other people that are not technically Mutant Academy and just you kind of work outside and then you bring it back. You work outside and you bring it back. And
Yeah.
I think that just leads to you guys being so freaking diverse. And also like something I think I don't know if it was Ewan or Concept Jackson, who I talked to earlier on the show, where they were talking about Mutant Academy and saying specifically that you guys are so self-sufficient in the sense that you just have someone in house that can do like everything. If you want visuals, video, album art, beats, rhymes, like you guys just have it all in this collective.
Yeah, we really are a multimedia like production company. Like oh like dead ass. It's like no way around that part. It's like I don't know. It's just how the cards laid out. It's like we met everybody individually, like, and it was all genuine connections. And a lot of those people we just made music with on SoundCloud, and it's just like, fuck, I want to bring you with us. You know what I mean? It's like it is what it is. I feel like the way that shit works out is just by picking the right people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like knowing good people and knowing when to say, all right, cool, enough of that.
Yeah, and I think also just the name of it is was very apt, like mutant alien. I just think a lot of you, especially like the some of these beat makers and rappers on this in this group are just like I would say alien. I'd say you're like an alien type MC, just given just like how otherworldly and just unique a lot of your styles are.
Yeah, thank you. I see. I remember when Kendrick had first like had dropped like Good Kid, Mad City and shit. We was like, this motherfucker is an alien. So I take alien kind of serious.
Yeah,
That's a real compliment.
yeah. There's not many of them out there. I would say, very few. Yeah, before we get into this latest album you dropped, I kind of want to rewind the clock a bit and just kind of walk through some key moments in your career that I imagine were really influential in kind of growing as an artist, but also just like growing your career generally. So with that, in 2020, you dropped the fucking amazing Fly Siifu with Pink Siifu. And for me personally, this album was special because it was like a gateway drug to an entirely new world of hip hop that I had heard of, but like at that point I didn't dive into fully. And not only was it just a great physical, like a great pure musical product, but it was just deeply influential for me in my journey as a kind of younger hip hop head. And for you, obviously seemed like a big moment given the rave reviews, the success. And I feel like the chemistry between you two were really what made it special because like Siifu has this like kind of like hazy, hypnotizing style, kind of puts you in a trance as a listener, and then you come in with like that kind of swift punch in the fucking like face. It's just a really cool combination how you guys kind of work within each other that just pops. But how would you describe the magic that was your creative chemistry with Pink Siifu? Like why did you guys complement each other so well?
This is another testament to like picking good people to make music with, and also just not having to try too hard. It's like it's just picking good beat and right, and you record it, and then next song. It's like that was the whole process with FlySiifu. It's like, and that's usually the process with everything. But the chemistry part is just like it's easy to have conversations with Liv. It's like I can that's my bro. You know what I mean? It's like if I could sit and talk and smoke with the motherfucker, I can make a great album with him, I'm pretty sure. It's like I'm not gonna make an album with somebody I don't think I can make a great album with. It's like I understand music just as much as the listeners do. So I heard that shit the same way. I'm like, this could be fire. First song we made, fire. It's like we never had to try to make a good song. It's like I don't know. We could probably make a song like a good song on a bad beat, but we haven't tried
You don't need
that.
to try that. I think you guys are good with what you're doing now. Uh,
But yeah, it's really just like that's really one of my friends, bro. Like I let that dude, his family, they basically my family. It's like we always like cross pollinate like as far as like our groups and shit. Like you know what I mean? It's like we on the same page. It's like that chemistry is always gonna be what it is because that's my dog. It's like whenever we want to, we can make another Fly Seafood and blow shit up. But I also feel like it's smart to just let shit play out.
yeah, yeah. And I think like that friendship is like really I feel like that you're saying, yeah, it's definitely a thing I notice in a lot of your music. It just seems like it's very wholesome. Nothing seems like, oh, these guys made a song together because they're just trying to get the clout or like get some new reach, get some new fans. Like you and Sifu like seem like you were really enjoying yourself. And the album is just so fun. Like it's the concept and the skits are just like hilarious. Like there's no other way to put it. Like it's
Yeah.
just very special.
We just come from a place where we knew each other before a lot of shit even went down. So like it ain't even about clout. It's like it's really just about like timing and making a good song. You know, it's like I knew this nigga before a lot of shit. Like this was like I ain't gonna say like we day one, but on some like rap shit. Like 2016 was a real pivotal time to know a motherfucker because we ain't have shit for real. It's like we still ain't got shit, but at that time it was like the building stage. So if you was there, you ingrained in that. You know what I mean? So like most of the people that's around now literally came around either around that time or like a year or two before.
Hmm. So moving on to like 2022, following Fly Siifu's, your next major release was your most personal album yet in many ways, Frank. This album was phenomenal and again represented a big step for you artistically through, like the more personal nature of it, but also like some of the more structured songwriting with like some additional like hooks and things of that nature that you're really diving into. But then also career-wise, it's clear that you treated this album with such a high degree of care because I think you had basically created the like vast majority of it in 2019, 2020, but you kept it in the tuck because as the pandemic rolled out, like you wanted to make sure you could push this album properly.
I
How
was also just being insecure about that shit too.
oh yeah, what was that? Why were you, where did the insecurity come from?
Man, I don't know what it is, but just like I said with that project, the grand scheme of things, it's like sometimes I just don't know.
Like you
It's
don't know if
like
it's gonna be good?
yeah, it's like you don't know what's gonna happen. It's like whenever I get to that point when I'm like I don't know how what's gonna happen, it usually go crazy. So it's like that I wasn't thinking about that in the process, so I should have shut the fuck up and just roll with it. But
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely just like insecure. I'm like I don't know if this shit gonna work. I'm like it's cool. It's like, but I don't know. It just didn't. It was cool, but I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this music. Like I had it just sitting like in a playlist basically. Like I'm just making songs and just sitting them in this thing. I'm like, I guess this is the album. And after that, I sat on that version of it for like a year maybe, and I just reworked the skits and shit, and then it felt brand new again. And then Gray Matter helped me with the track listing, and that was it. It's like, but for at least 2 years, I was just sitting there like I don't know if this is gonna make sense.
Was it like the kind of Like maybe the personal nature of it, or was it like maybe the beats that were like definitely? I know you said it was like inspired by like some of the R&B records or soul records that your family
Yeah,
had. I don't know, was that it? Maybe a different sound you weren't sure people were ready for?
man, it just felt like the way that life was happening, like it felt like nothing was gonna go right. Like it was like the world was getting shut down while I was trying to finish that shit. So it was, I don't know. And then I spent time in like LA working on shit with people, like and collecting songs. Like that was the first time I did that. It's like all my albums was worked on in Richmond. And if I recorded anything, I recorded it at home or at the homie crib. So it was just like I started doing shit differently. So I was just like uneasy about that shit. And
Right.
I knew like it's like I know my music is good, but it's like I'm still human as hell. So I just be thinking like it could something could be, you know what I mean? Like what if somebody takes something wrong with some shit? Like I think about every little detail. So like I don't know, I held myself back on that process for a minute too. And I was waiting on a feature that never happened. And that also like held me back for a good little minute because I was trying to hold off. So I don't know. It was just a lot of bullshit. A lot of bullshit happened with the creation of that album. Even with the covers, like that cover was like I was supposed to have like a artist paint some shit for me. Like I had the
Hmm.
whole idea drawn out and like I knew exactly what I wanted and shit. But dude folded on me last minute. So I was like, damn, the label found the fucking this photographer nigga that they know. And I went to New York. I had some fucked up braids in my head. I was like, I don't even want to take pictures like this. I felt fucked up. So I took the braids out on the plane, got off, went there, boom, cover done. You know what I mean? It's like the whole process of that album was like it just didn't feel real. It
Mm.
was like this shit just felt like I was doing this shit for nothing or something. Like I was doing hella photo shoots and shit. Everything was just so weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
this is the
was like
first one you had a
breaking
real
down.
budget for, right? Like this is like,
Yeah, like
yeah,
that was the first solo thing because like Mozzie FlySiifu was on Lex too, but
yeah,
like I was still learning how to work out my solo shit in the process of doing FlySiifu. It's like I didn't know that I can just fucking ask for studio time and go to this place and you know what I mean. Like it's all types of shit. It was a big learning curve. I'm glad that it worked out well, but I'm also just like man, I could have did that in my fucking sleep.
hmm,
So I can't help but be like, man, this can't be that. I don't know. It's like, and then it gets received well, and I just got to be like, well, yeah, it's a
yeah.
great album.
I
But
mean,
I'm
it
already
sound,
on Skinemaxxx by the time that shit comes out.
yeah, yeah. Like it feels like it was a lot of new for you, and it was like you being the kind of the main focal point, the star of what was your like most significant solo record. Like I can imagine the pressure felt a bit new or different that time around.
Yeah, and I just did another album before that. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
and I had my moment. Like I sat on that for a year. So it's like I don't know. Music is just it's an interesting little journey for me, bro. It's like it's very personal. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Super personal.
What kind of pushed you to finally like move past that insecurity to just be like, hey, fuck it, I need to put this out.
I ain't gonna hold you. I got past it once Sean Price came out. Like once
Oh,
Sean
okay.
Price came out, I was like, cool.
Yeah, because that was a single. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was all I needed because it was the jitters of just dropping something. Like oh, I don't know. I guess it's a natural rapper thing.
Okay, let's get into this new album, Skinemaxxx. This is created with producer Foisey. You've worked with him for so long now, and you said in a previous interview with OK Player, I believe, something pretty interesting. You said that he's the jelly to your peanut butter, and he
Yeah,
just always
yeah,
tends to have the hardest songs on the albums you created. And you said that you wanted to pay more attention to the magnetism that you and Foisey have, which is something that you've clearly done, given the fact you linked up with him on this full length collab album. What is it about his style of production that you love so much that like fosters this magnetism you speak of and keeps you coming back for more?
it all lies in the beats that I heard when I first found out about Foisey on SoundCloud. It's like, and we can all go back to that shit at any moment. But the first one I heard was I think it was called Cadillac or some shit like that. And it might have been like a cover, like the cover might have been that picture of Jay-Z when he was watching TV outside or some shit like that. But he had that joint, then he had an Outcast flip. And I was like, what the fuck is this man on? Like the shit, like he was sampling some shit that your dad would listen to. Like some old jazz flip or some like R&B song, and he'll make that shit sound hard. And I always like kind of just like connected his sample choice to porn, like softcore porn music. I would always joke on him, like, you make porn music. But not, that's been like a joke for years. Like, mine, we've been working since 2014. So I've been like constantly talking to him and just building and trying to figure out a way to make music. And you know what I mean? Like throughout the years, bro, it's just been like, bro, we gotta make an album. And shit just happened the way it did. But yeah, making Frank and then listening back to all them songs, was just like, damn, I didn't realize how many songs Foisey had on this motherfucker. One. Two, he got the hardest ones on the motherfucker. Three, every time I do a project and Foisey's on the motherfucker, that's usually the favorite. So I was like, let's just put all this in one project. It's like, apparently we need to encapsulate something. Like, so I mean, I don't know. That's my brother. And I feel like it was a smart move. And from what I'm seeing, like side B has been received like a little like easier like than side A was, because side A low key didn't even like get good reviews and shit. Not that it matters, but like I knew people were confused. It's like I knew you should have just dropped it all together, but it is what it is.
Well, okay, so you said some interesting things. I do feel the romance in his music a lot, and I remember specifically at that show, I was telling because Foisey was the DJ and did a great job on that show, and I was telling you, I was like, "Love Song" off Frank is the best beat I think he's ever made, and you guys are like, "Nah, listen to side B, wait and see, wait and see." He's got a lot of good shit, but I definitely see that romance feel in his music has always been like super apparent. I think it's only this album where I see the kind of the porn part of it. I could, especially like Lacey, what is it, Lacey Duval? That's like
Duval.
that's a like I don't
Yeah.
even like the whole sample. I only realized like like maybe my fourth, fifth listen. I'm like, oh, what's actually being said in the sample? I was like, oh shit, this is some serious. This is no joke. But
Yeah,
what
he
go
wouldn't let me not rap on that beat, man. That shit was crazy. He was like,
yeah.
get it back. You gotta rap on this. I was like, man. But that's why I said, Force, you a freak for this one. Like, cause I had to, I halfway didn't want to do it. It was just so far.
I definitely see what you mean by him having some of the hardest beats because, like, I was listening to At the End of the Day earlier today, and I remember this was actually probably the first full length project I heard of yours.
That
And
was
I
the
remember
first.
thinking Chess Pieces was like my favorite joint,
Yeah.
and he did that one. I was like, it's crazy. You mentioned that you were about this like whole idea of the side A, side B being split up in the release. What was the reasoning behind that initially, and like why do you feel you maybe shouldn't have done that in hindsight?
The label wanted to split it up because they felt like it was a little like soon to come back with another full length when Frank just dropped type shit.
Hmm.
So it was a way to stagger the release and make sure the rollout was understood and shit. But like, it's business. But I look at it like a fan at the end of it, and I was like, it's cool as long as we can have both of them bitches on the lineup. So
Yeah.
you know, it's like if it was like the other way, I wouldn't have fucked with it. But that was the main compromise. It was like, cool, y'all got that, but they got to come together on the record. But
Yeah, because
that's
you
why,
wanted this to be a complete body of work, right? Like, yeah,
because it is like, you know what I mean? Like we
100%.
split it up, but it's like that shit. It's an album. Like it's not supposed to be two EPs, but it is what it is. Like it was a business move.
Yeah,
But
and I
I
feel
feel like we probably could have came back with the whole thing. Like I don't know if that would have been a problem or anything. You know?
yeah, I don't know. I feel like you were mentioning that you felt side A wasn't received as well as side B. I feel like it's definitely one is like the skits, but it's only noticeably different when it's separated. That's the thing where I kind of agree with what you're saying because like it made so much more sense. I may like side A more now than side B, but when I first heard side B, I was like, oh, okay, I like side B more for sure. But then I listened to it together now, and I'm like, nah, I think I actually like side A more, which I didn't say that. Like it made me love it so much more because I kind of understood the world you were you kind of building.
Yeah, it's like it really can't like it all makes sense with the full shit. You know what I mean? Like if I was to sit down and explain this shit at the day side they came out, people would be like, what? Because
Mm.
you still need the end of the album. Like if you only heard one part of the album, you're not gonna be able to give me a real opinion on that shit, you know?
Yeah. And so let's get into that kind of the what the thinking was behind this kind of concept, if you will, of this album and just the sound, because the brand of kind of funk, soul, R&B that colors the vibe of this album is very apparent. There's like this like playful, dirty, fun romance to the record, big part of the charm. And it's clear there's a lot of like intentional thought that went into the creation of this album. So what was the thinking behind this concept of this record and your desire to dig into this kind of sound?
It was really just zeroing in on that inside joke. The central feeling that we all felt when we were trying to sneak and watch porn for the first time. It's like that's a conversation you can have with any fucking body. They're gonna have a story for you. You know what I mean? But we all can go back to you had to fucking have the remote in your hand and you had to be ready to push the button to switch that channel because a nigga gonna come see your ass. So I'm like connecting the feeling of the music to just trying to like build a world around that shit. You know what I mean? Like mind you, like first time I successfully was a part of a project that built the world was FlySiifu. So I
Yeah,
took elements of the FlySiifu and I implemented that shit with Skinemaxxx to create a world. So
that's
the skit thing,
interesting.
yeah, the skit thing, like I said, probably would have made sense like if we did it all together, or even just spaced it out a little bit. But shit happens, and fucking, it still can be played as a one thing. So I'm letting that shit be what it is, and I know some of my best songs are on that shit.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. And yeah, that sound that you picked, given like this idea of like that first time you watch porn, I think it made perfect sense. That all like that very intimate soul R&B vibe. What attracts you to this particular kind of music in general? Because it's not like this is the first time you've rapped over these kinds of like at least parts like moments on albums, not always the full thing. But what attracts you to this kind of like soulful R&B sound?
I mean, shit, I grew up listening to it. My pops was all that shit. My mom was all that shit. It's like every Sunday you had to clean up and you heard a whole bunch of R&B. Like nobody wanted to hear the rap shit like I wanted to hear. But I always looked at that shit as punishment when I couldn't hear rap music. I started to appreciate it after a while, especially growing up. So even now, it's like I listen to like Mary J. Blige and shit on the way to the gym. Like I'm a big Erica fan. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that shit. But it's like I said with the mindless music, like if I was to zero in on the trap shit, it's like nobody can get mad at me. It's like I listen to that shit. Like when I was listening to a whole lot of boom bap shit, I was making shit like that.
Yeah.
It was a part of it. Well, I don't know. I think people grow and niggas evolve. And yeah, it's just an era, bro. It's like everybody having an era. It's like shit change. It's like supposed to change.
Yeah, and I feel like your camp also has a lot of good connections and relationships with like because you mentioned you love Badu, like Liv, Kia, um, I'm gonna butcher the name, but the girl that was on Things Change. Like those are just some truly like those are
The
like
ma-
the next crop of like some yeah, like the next crop of just like some of the best singers I've heard in years. Um,
yeah,
like
they're
it's just
around, bro. They are
yeah,
around. It's some great like vocalists out here, bro.
yeah. I'm
Like,
seeing
and I'm
Liv
not
at
even.
the end of the month in Toronto
Yeah,
in
I'm
Soho.
I'm I'm nowhere near as tapped in as I need to be, but like when I find them and I can like make a song that makes sense, like I definitely try to work with all of them.
Yeah.
It's like, bro,
And I think this album also was like in kind of like on the right track of your what you were saying at the beginning of this conversation about making music that's lighter, that's not like necessarily talking about like super incredibly traumatic, dark shit all the time. Like I think this is a great step in that direction. Even though there
yeah,
are some moments that are a little more serious like that. Yeah.
yeah. I have to express who I am in this current time and not like try to be who I was because it's like I spent a lot of time just like listening to me and saying, all right, cool, like this is my style, I'm staying here. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I'm not even as impressionable as I was. It's like I can listen to a bunch of shit all day long, and it's just gonna come out like how I do music all the time.
Hmm.
So I don't know, bro. But I know I'm not as depressed as I was when I first started. So I have to be true about that part. It's like I'm not sad. It's hard to make sad music when you're not sad.
Yeah, it'll come off phony as fuck. And
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's a good thing to be celebrated that you're not in that space, like first and
yeah.
foremost. But
But that also makes it weird because I love darkness.
yeah,
So
I feel
I'm
like
in a
it's an
fun
artist
world.
thing. I just like people with a creative brain. I find there's like beauty in darkness. Like I always say that. I'm like that 100%.
Yeah, like that's the core of it, bro.
Yeah.
Darkness, man. I hear a beat that made me think of a dark alley. I want to rap on it every time.
Yeah. And I feel like this album does a good job of like showing off like this continued progression in your skill set when it comes to like the songwriting. There's very prominent hooks that go really hard here. And then there's also some songs that like given the Foisey production are really challenging to rap over. Like Blicky Bop, like that's one of your best songs. Like I've that and that's very technically difficult it sounds to actually pull off. So like how did
You
this
think so?
record, if at all, push you to improve your craft as a rapper and songwriter?
I think Blicky Bop was pretty easy. Like I love that song too, though. But like as
Maybe
far
it's
as
just the
rapping
rhythm,
on,
like the fact that it's so catchy while you're actually rapping. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That was definitely one of the moments where I was like, I want to. Me and Foisey was just having to talk about that kind of shit. It's like we're aware of what we're listening to, bro. It's like I want to make fun of shit like that. So when he made that beat, like he was making that shit like some random ass morning, like within the month of us working on that shit, like he was just there making stuff, and that was one of the ones. And I was like, damn, I gotta use that shit. And whatever I said came out, and we recorded it, and we loved it, and we was like, damn, this your hardest book.
So good.
That was probably the most exciting moment after the whole shit. It's like every song I love, but that was the moment for me. That's why we made it the first song. It's like
It sets it off strong.
that is the era. Like that's the moment where I was like, fuck this shit. I don't want to care too much right now. Like, and that's what I mean when I'm saying like I want to make more mindless music, shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the hooks and I think we're like a continuation of what Frank showed, but I think this one like so many of these songs have really sticky hooks that I haven't heard from your music in the past because I don't think like you were trying to do that necessarily, but you're doing that
Uh,
now and it's impressive.
for a long time, I was cool with a verse and just go. If I
Hmm.
like that beat enough, I was just thinking the first thing I can, write it, put it on there, and be out of there. Like most of my songs was like 59 seconds long type shit. So I don't know. I got off on that. I thought it was cool, but now it's a trend. So I'm kind of like, all right, let me make real songs.
Yeah, hooks are coming back now. Now it's like unique to have hooks again in like some spaces in the rap game.
Yeah, I really like when I started working on the Frank shit. I was listening to a lot of Max B. So the hook thing really came from him. I was like, this nigga was great at making songs on other people's shit. So I'm like, I just need to make songs. Like that shit, Max B definitely inspired me on on songwriting. It's like just make a hook. It's like now I'm like, maybe I should do a bridge every once in a while. My girl be doing bridges and shit. It's like songwriting is interesting, but I was very lazy with that shit at one point. Like I just thought it was cool to just do the one thing. But trying to do A, B, C, and D now. Might get
Yeah.
some shit replayed. Might put some instruments on the next album.
Okay. I could be into that. I could be into that. Yeah, it's just I think you really showed off that growth big time on this record because yeah, like the verses are sick, but I'm really having a lot of earworms and like hooks that are stuck in my head even after I'm done playing it. And the rhythms from Foisey is just like super impressive to me. Like that push you, I think, into cool places. Actually a lot of this album reminds me of that Concept Jackson Obliv record, Jet Magazine because that was definitely not the exact same, but there was very much like in that romance kind of like soulful bag, and I think it needed that kind of alien level performance. I'll use that word again from both of you guys respectively to pull it off because those are some of
Yeah,
my favorite albums of the past couple of years.
yeah. Niggas is like music, man. It's a certain world of music that motherfuckers really fuck with. There
Hmm.
ain't too many people that like it that much, but the ones that do, yeah. I don't know. Like you said, otherworldly shit.
Hmm.
We like
Yeah.
otherworldly shit.
So I want to just get into before we wrap this up, like what is some upcoming work, tour, merch that your fans should look out for, both from you, but maybe if you want to speak on like Mutant Academy stuff in general as well.
Like I said about Mutant Academy, like you can expect a whole lot of shit. It's very soon. Like not just merch, but just every fucking thing. Like albums, like lots of albums. Like we about to be on some real no limit shit. As far as my shit, I got merch on FlyAnakin.com. I'm about to do some shows with fucking my palm is itching. That's a great song. I'm about to do some shows with Siifu and Ali next week.
On the
And
Leather Boulevard tour?
yeah, and
Oh, that's
uh,
crazy.
I gotta
Crazy
go
on.
back to Europe in November to do shows and shit with fucking Mavi and Mike and them and Arm and Hammer and shit. Yeah, it's a lot of shit that's about to happen, and I don't really want to spoil nothing or like jinx nothing either. So I'm kind of just like at a stalemate. But shit gonna be lit though.
Yeah. I mean that wax that you got for this record is like really special, like the packaging, the
It's my best. It's my best set. It's my best setup ever. Like that's it's the fully actualized idea of what I had. Like fully is there. Yeah, they nailed it. They
yeah.
fucking nailed it. Like hell yeah. I almost cried when I saw that shit. So it's a new bar set. Like I can't do nothing less crazy than this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have no doubt
Like
you won't. I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
I personally feel like this is definitely it's the new floor. So I have to fucking figure out my new floor now. I gotta surpass this shit.
Well, I just have to say I'm just so happy to see the success you've had. You're a good dude, and yeah, I'm so excited to see what you got coming up next. Like both you and Mutant Academy. It's really, really good to see, and I'm really happy you came on the show. Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you having me, bro. I've been seeing your support for a long time. It's like the only reason I took this joint, regardless, is because it's like a lot of times motherfuckers just be doing stuff and they'll have little publications and shit, and motherfuckers just do stuff because people feel like they have to. But
Mm-hmm.
like if I see somebody that's like slowly building their shit up and working with people that matter, you know what I mean? Like shining light on shit that actually deserve it. And you a good person too because you fuck with our shit so much. I feel like by default, if you fuck with us this hard, you gotta be a good person to
I
some
agree
kind
with
of way.
that.
You know what I mean? It's like, cause our shit be very pure. So I'm like, if I don't know, motherfuckers could be whoever they are. Like it is what it is. But I just feel like you on a good road, like for sure. Like you know what I mean? Shining light on the shit that we fuck with. So doing a good
I
job.
appreciate that. Appreciate it. I don't know. I don't think I've met a whack Mutant Academy Fly Anakin fan before, to be honest. I don't think they exist.
We never know.
Yeah, we'll never
But
know.
if they fuck with me, I fuck with them. It's like
Yeah.
by default, you know what I mean? Like it's even like, it goes far. It goes far. But I love everybody. Even if they don't love me. It's love.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I just wanted to say before we wrap up that I'm wearing jeans right now, so I apologize in advance. I know you're not a fan.
Hey bro, I got two pairs of jeans, dog. I'm not gonna lie to you. I might get a couple more this year. Like
Yeah, man. Jeans are
I've been
fly,
working
man.
out. I've been working out and honestly on some grown up shit, you need a couple good pairs of jeans. And in my mind at that time, I didn't give a fuck about that mindset because I was uncomfortable on stage in a pair of jeans. I'm not gonna lie. I still may or may not perform in jeans. But whoever wanna wear jeans, I'm never gonna judge them. I'm definitely gonna look at them a little funny. If you at a show and you standing and you sweating and shit, you just got jeans on. Like
That's what I was doing when I was watching you. I had jeans on.
crazy, but I'm gonna tell you, I don't judge no more. At one time, I was definitely judging people that wore jeans though, but it's nothing to make fun of because like I said, I got two pairs of jeans, and
Yeah.
I might get two more. And if I get two more and niggas start clowning me because I got on jeans, what have I created?
Yeah. This
A
culture of
monster.
hate.
It's
Fly
a culture,
Anakin creating a culture of hate.
and
That's the headline.
people connect jean hatred to me now. And I thought it was funny, but now look at me trying to grow up. You see
And
how
that's
life fucked
maturity.
you over, dog?
Yeah, it's maturity, man. I seen the growth. I respect it. I
I
respect
started singing and shit. Now I want to wear jeans. What am I turning into?
it.
I don't know.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on again. Enjoy that ice cream you're gonna get with your girl, and talk to you later, man. Peace.
Appreciate you, homie. My
Take
dog.
care. So there we have it, another episode of the Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV. I hope this episode gave you some new perspectives and insights into what the greatest art form known to man in hip-hop music has to offer. If you want to support the show in the most meaningful way possible, it would be my absolute honor to have you as a patron in the new Rap Music Plug podcast Patreon. Through this Patreon, you will be getting exclusive content such as bonus episodes, exclusive album recommendations, exclusive playlists, early access to episodes, and more. And above all, though, you will be able to support the show directly in a way that will not only justify the crazy amount of time I spend on this show already, but allow me to cover some of the expenses related to supporting all of these great artists that we cover on the show through the website, and will allow us to sustain and build on this amazing growth that the RMPP has experienced recently. So if you have any questions about any of the Patreon stuff, or just want to keep tabs on the show, interact with me on rap music and all the great stuff that we can talk about, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at rapmusicplugpod, or shoot me an email at qlctv.podcast@gmail.com. You can also rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify as well. But that's enough self-promotion for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.